Welcome back, everyone, to Halloween Haunts 365. I'm Jared.
And I'm Terry.
We have an amazing interview for you coming up. This is going to be a good time. It's one we've been waiting for, especially this one.
Oh my gosh.
She's very excited. But take this time, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. We have 100 and something more to go before September 1st. Let's go. All right, you ready?
Yes, let's bring them in.
Bring them in, huh? I don't know. Are you ready? I think she's excited, guys. Guys, we have some characters from Markoff's Haunted Forest. Let's switch over and I'll let them introduce themselves. Guys, welcome. How are you tonight?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Good. Very excited.
Gumby's also very excited, if you couldn't tell.
I'm ready to go.
All right, so first off, I like to just talk a little bit about the guests, where the history comes from, what kind of shit you're into before we dive into the masterpiece that is Markoffs. So we're going to start with Gumby. How long have you been at Markoffs? What do you do there? And when did the haunt bug hit you? When did this Halloween craze really manifest?
So I'm going to kind of go in opposite order. I'm going to start with when did it hit me? Late high school, I'm sitting there and my mom says, do you want to go to this haunted, like it was at this place called Rockville Town Center. And it was a real trash kind of 1 year Halloween thing, but it got me. But it got me good. And I was like, oh man, I got scared and I really liked it. So my mom kind of hooked me in with that little bug. And from there, I kind of just enjoyed Halloween. Then a couple years later, I'm going to date myself quickly. 1999, my first year, I worked 2 nights at Markoff's Haunted Forest, which Markoff's Haunted Forest is like the thing to do around here. At the time, it was the only thing to do. So being able to work for them was amazing. I laid on some hay backwards, and I kept having to do sit-ups. So I was in significantly better shape at the time. But I did that for 2 straight nights, and I went, man, there's got to be a better way. And the answer was, there was. I just didn't know it then. And then in 2005, I helped start another haunted attraction that ran for 5 years. And in that time, I learned a lot about budgets, but I also learned a lot about how to scare people. And in that process, I got to meet, Paul Brubacher, who's the vice president, and also the amazing man that is David Brokeback Harding. And I got to meet those guys. And when I was no longer a part of that haunt, they came to me and said, you need to do that with us. So in that process, what happened was I looked at Dave and I said, I'm only going to do this if I'm with you. Because I fully believed in his vision of what we were about to do. And I said, that's it. If it's you and I'm in. And he said, done. So cool. At that point in time, I started working with him and I took 2 weeks where I just aimlessly wandered the attraction called The Town. And all I did was wander quietly around. And at the very end of this 2 weeks, I kind of looked at Dave and said, this is what we need to do on my end because I am a manager, but I teach the acting. My job is to teach you how to scare the living shit out of every motherfucker that set foot on our goddamn soil. Not those words have ever been uttered before. Yes, they have. But with that, that's how we feel every time, is that I want to crush every bit of the thousands of people that come through. And what I tell my actors are, if you don't get that one scare, fucking get the next one. Don't worry about it. Get. So that's what I do. I'm the guy who goes into a scene and tells you how to scare. And I do that because I get scared in haunted attractions to this day. And you can ask Dave, I run through screaming like a little girl. If I'm in a group and there's a chainsaw, I'm 4 groups ahead already. Fiddle Screams PA, they got me in the parking lot. I ran out of the thing, through the midway, into the parking lot. They got me with 2 chainsaws, and we were all laughing. To this day, that still gets me. So that's kind of where I came from, how I got to this point. And now I've been at Markoff since 2012, and I helped Dave make the town what it has become. That's me.
Sweet. All right, Brokeback, you're up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I'm Brokeback, as they say. That camp nickname. So Markoffs Haunted Forest is a fundraiser for Kaleva Outdoors. That's our nonprofit outdoor school. So this is something that we do for fun, and it's a fundraiser for that organization. So when you're around summer camp, everybody's got nicknames. I was bestowed the nickname Brokeback after falling 40 feet and fracturing 7 vertebrae, literally breaking my back. Not there. This was out west before I came there, but that is why they call me Brokeback. For those that wonder, that's
I
the
was
reason.
wondering, so I'm
I
glad you
was
cleared it up.
wondering too.
Nothing else. There's no
Yeah,
mountains
I went
involved.
somewhere else.
Yeah, no mountains involved. It was a rock climbing wall, not a mountain. Um, I've been at Markoffs since 2007. That's when I came. I've been going pretty much every single year, all 32 years. There was a couple I had to take off, but this was something that, again, in high school, this was the place to go. Like in October, everybody went from all over the DC area. They went to Markoff's Haunted Forest, and even had some friends from school that worked there, and they would bring. At the time, we had a hearse that actually drove, and they would drive this hearse to school, to Walt Whitman High School in Bethesda, Maryland, and park it in the student parking lot and get lots of funny looks. But people were excited about Halloween when they saw that Markoff's hearse rolling through. Um, as I mentioned, I broke my back in 2007, and that brought me back from Utah back here to Maryland, where I grew up. And I reached out to the guys at Kaleva and said, "Hey, you got anything going on? I'm a little bored after having a fun summer job out west doing climbing and canyoneering and really cool things like that. What can you do?" And they said, "Well, we need somebody to run a zip line. Do you know how to run a zip line?" Of course, I got this, no problem. So started working, and just got into everything going on with Kaleva. Because I was a fan of the Haunted Forest, of course, when it came time to do that September, October, I was super excited, and started doing a little bit of everything at the haunt. And then I unfortunately lost in a game of rock, paper, scissors and got stuck with what was then Markoff's Haunted Hayride. It was a little rinky dink. We went in like a small little figure-8 circle. We had 2 hay wagons and 2 farm-all tractors, little H's. And we would just go in this little figure-8 circle. And it was all the kids that were too young, or that didn't make the cut to be at the forest. So again, that's why I said I lost. This was I got the short end of the stick. The other guy went and ran chainsaws for Markoffs, and I was stuck with the young kids, the ones. I don't want to say the land of misfit toys, but that's kind of who we were, the island of misfit toys from Rudolph. But I will say that
We
those.
still are.
Oh yes, yeah, it was a lot. But those kids had so much heart. They would run from one side. There was an outdoor riding arena in this field, and they would run from one side and one scare all the way across this horse pasture, scare the wagon as it's coming up, and then run back across that field, scare it again. And I knew that this was a special group of people. And so we took that hayride and we went from a little tiny figure-8 loop to a bigger loop. So then we're going all the way around the Kaleva property, the Kaleva farm, and doing some pretty crazy, really cool scenes for a hayride. But it got to the point where it took so much effort to rebuild it every single year, because it all comes down, not the haunted forest itself, but at the time the hayride did, because it's all on property that we use for our school programs and our horseback riding stuff, and it's part of our hay fields that grow all the hay for the animals that we have on the farm. And so it got to the point where we just couldn't keep rebuilding it year after year after year, and it was starting to interfere with some of our other programs. And so we had to do something different, but I wanted to keep that same spirit alive. And I love our antique tractors. It's something super unique, and I love the pops and the quirks and the fact that each kind of has its own uniqueness to it. And so I said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna do the hayride like we did before, but this time when we pull into the hay barn where the zombies start coming out and climbing all over the hay wagons, we are gonna do something different. This time we're gonna get people off the wagon." And we had done a haunted attraction down at National Harbor, right by where now MGM Casino is down there. And because of that, we had all these structures, these little 8x12, 8x16 structures, just chilling, doing nothing. And I said, "Hey, would it be cool if I took some of those and used them to create this little town?" And at the time, it was a zombie apocalypse style theme. You just kind of wandered through some of these buildings. I think one of the coolest things we had was a whole long corridor that tilted back and forth, and it had these hanging bodies that we would go through, and they had these entrails. We'd spray them with a water bottle, and as you walked, the whole thing would shift. It was just on this pivot point, and the entrails and the bodies would swing into you, and then you walk and you start going the other direction and tilt back the other way.
That was
And-
right before I got there, and I went through as a customer. It got me good. It got me good.
Yeah.
Damn you, Dave. It got me good.
It was sweet. It was sweet. And people loved it. They were like, that was so cool. That wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it was just a hayride. I didn't realize we were going to get off the wagons. And so I was like, well, they loved it so much. So let's do it again. And so we decided to build a permanent town back there on the other side of the Markoff property from where the Haunted Forest is. And it turned into a Wild West themed ghost town, much to my chagrin. At first, I was a little hesitant. Cool. It's challenging because when you're put with a theme, you have to stick to that theme. You know, all the scenes have to make sense. In the woods, you go from the Hell Bridge, you know, through this dark tunnel called the Unknown, and into caves, and then there's a pumpkin scene, and you're at a circus. Like you can just do whatever you want.
Probing. So I mean,
yeah. And so we're like, all right, well, it's
always a good time. Always a good time.
But we made it happen. We made it work, and we continue to grow that town. And it's a pretty unique spot.
So whose idea was it to completely freak me out thinking I'm in an actual mine shaft? Because how it goes down, like,
right?
Holy shit.
Yeah. That is, again, one of the scenes that gets everybody is that they're like, even the owners, even Nikki Markoff, who lives on the farm, we asked her, she, like, do you know where you are right now? She's like, I have no idea. I've lived here for so long. I have no clue where we're at right now. And yeah, it was one of those things. That whole area of the town was something that we had to bring in fill dirt and level it all off. And so we had this big natural hillside after the fact. And we're like, dude, this is where the mine's going. You're going to go down into the mine. And it truly does feel like you're going underground.
It does.
When you hear the water running and you're going down and it's colder somehow, and like, or maybe it's just in my brain that it's colder, but
no, it is.
You feel underground, and I've been in thousands of haunted attractions, but that one made me feel a little more immersed than I'm used to. Because you're going down, you're in this cave, it literally feels like you're going in the earth.
When it was first done, when we were like, this is the way the lights are set up, the lights would flicker, and there's you can actually hear the light, like someone lights the dynamite ready to go. You can actually hear that, and it goes through the whole mine shaft. And then when you get into the main area where everything starts to go, you can actually hear it end there as the water's hitting. And I'll tell you what, it's like 4:00 in the morning, we're exhausted, and it happens. And the look on our goddamn faces was like two small children couldn't be happier what just happened. We're like, this is the goddamn best thing in the world. And the floor starts to go, and we're all excited. And then, of course, now you're amped up. So let's go do something else for 6 more hours until the sun comes up. But yeah, when that thing so gives me goosebumps. So Brokeback's crazy. He found a small kid slide. And it used to be you would leave the asylum and go into the mine shaft that way. And it was just this death trap, just because it is a small kid slide. So you're doing this going down. So that was a whole other aspect that we used to have, where that's how some people entered into the mine shaft, just slid right into some people's feet that were walking by. It was awesome. And so you'd be walking in the mine shaft, all the things you just saw, all of a sudden at your feet, someone's head just pops out. And they're like, are you Jimmy? No, your friends are gone. You're dead. And then now they go find their friends. You got people wandering around. Where's Jimmy? Catherine? Where's Katie? And you're just laughing your dick off in the corner, just going, that's the best thing ever.
So cool.
Yeah.
What was great about that? So it was something we would only send a couple of people through. It was just certain people, usually the last person in the group. And so at the end, when everybody's waiting to get on the tractor, somebody's sitting there talking and being like, dude, did you go down the slide? And the folks from Field of Dreams PA, Gene was there with the crew, and they're like, what? There was a slide? and they go booking it from the tractor waiting area. They run back into the asylum. You know, of course, our actors are freaking out because people are just running across the haunt. Like, it's just Gene, it's fine. But they run back into the asylum and they all dive headfirst down the slide to enter the mine shaft going that way. So it was great.
So funny. So funny. I could see Jim and Gene doing that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're awesome. They're awesome.
They
actually
are.
had I went through her blackout night and they tased my entire body like 16 times. It was awesome. That's what I get for wearing a Markoff shirt. Just
Yeah,
saying.
they're gonna come after you probably. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
your undoing.
that's so awesome. All right, so random question time before we go deeper into this haunt. So
Sure.
it's raining out. Popcorn's in the microwave. You got nowhere to be. What movie's going on the TV?
Oh, I
That's
got
awesome.
mine already.
Okay,
I'm
you
throwing
go
in
for
Black
it.
Sheep.
Okay.
See, you guys are thinking that I'm going to go like horror. But the problem is I get scared. If I watch a horror movie, I'm not going to bed that night. So I'm watching like Happy Gilmore or Black Sheep with Chris Farley. Like, I'm going old school and maybe go even further back and do something like Caddyshack, like or PCU back in like 1996 was the jam. That was a great movie. So I go to comedies because I want to go to bed. If you put on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm turning lights off and sprinting up the steps to get to my bed before the light turns off. Like, I'm that guy. So yeah, I know you want me to say, "Oh,
No.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre puts me to sleep."
No, I
don't know,
left
it scares the shit out of me.
I left horror out of it for a reason.
Oh man, no,
We've had this come up.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And again,
Yeah.
I love scaring the shit out of people. I just don't like to be scared the shit out of. Sorry, Dave. What are you watching, Dave?
No, typically I'm similar to Gumby, where I'm going to throw on something fun, and it's the same movie I've watched over and over again since high school, and that's Dazed and Confused. But always good. If I'm going for horror, though, big fan of the screams.
Okay.
You know, it is that they're just classics, and a little bit of humor in there, a little bit of fun, a little bit of slasher. So I love the Scream movies.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
What about
What are
you?
guys throwing
What are
on?
you throwing in?
Yeah.
Me, I always go for Nightmare on Elm Street or the original Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Classics. The first Nightmare on Elm Street, when they start going into the dreams, man, that you never forget that. You know, that glove comes up out of the bed, and you're like, tell me that's not iconic. That's like one of the most iconic.
And the first time I saw that, I laughed. Me and my best friend went to the movies to see it. She was scared, had nightmares, and it didn't bother me. I thought it was funny.
That's the fact that we scared you guys at all makes me just so much happier right now.
You got the first two-peat in Halloween Haunts history. She screamed back to back.
I looked left and then right, or right and then left. I don't remember.
I'll tell you after we record what scene it was, because I don't want to give that effect away. I've been keeping it quiet for
Fair.
a while.
Appreciate that.
Good.
But yeah, remind me to do that.
Okay, what's yours? What's your
Hey,
movie?
hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us your movie, but then I need to talk more about movies too.
Okay, we could talk more. It's always Nightmare. You can see I have a problem.
Yeah.
I've been collecting Nightmare on Elm Street since I was a little kid. I have shit in there that's only been released for like a week, and I have stuff that's been mass produced, custom made. I have Freddy sitting right behind me. I have the original 3D glasses from Freddy's Dead.
Oh, nice.
They still have the House Party 3 coupon on it. House Party 2 coupon.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
No one saw that anyway, so it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, I love House Party. House Party 2 was trash.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
But when it comes to comedy, I'm a Bill Murray guy. It's Caddyshack, Ghostbusters. What About Bob?
Oh yeah.
Anything with Bill Murray, I'm watching. I'm leaving on the TV. Or Rocky. I watch Rocky whenever it's on. It's just stuff I usually leave on when it's playing.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah.
Top Gun.
Brokeback. You want to go more into movies? Go for it.
Go for it.
Well, I'm just saying, I know what I will be watching this fall, and that is The Haunted Forest. So after we wrapped the haunt season last year, we had a crew come in, and we've had actually a lot of film crews use The Haunted Forest as a backdrop for movies. whether it's folks shooting in the Western town for Western films or using the haunt itself. And so there was a movie that was written kind of about the haunted forest, and
Which you're in.
take place at home. I am. I was supposed to just be there to do special effects and make sure that things didn't break and start chainsaws for folks, but ended up having to be in there a couple times and have some lines and do a bunch of other stuff too. So
Nice.
Because you're the size of a house. That's why. You better
know,
be in a horror movie. You're huge.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I do die in the horror movie. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty good.
But
scene.
that's
I
cool,
got to
though. I mean,
watch
you always
a
want to
little.
be one of the deaths because that's what people remember. Nobody remembers the final girl. There's so many of them. You get an epic death, you live forever. Like, look at Johnny Depp.
Let me just tell
That's a really
you.
good point.
So I don't want to give too much away, but I'll just say that the death is pretty epic because it takes place down in the Viking village. And let's just say somebody leaps off of the Viking ship, off the ship, onto the dock there, the floating dock, and that's how I end my life. I meet my demise right there. So it's, again, I can't wait to see the finished version this October. But what I have seen of it so far, it's looking pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about it. I'm looking forward to it. I think I watched they put out previews on YouTube, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I've watched them. Yeah. I'm excited for it. All right. So we talked to a ton of haunters in season, out of season, especially at East Coast Haunters Convention after the haunt tours. Nobody could stop talking about Markoffs. Nobody.
Yes.
It really shined. It was amazing. People are still talking about it. I watch a lot of haunt shit. It was just brought up again in a podcast I was watching last week. So you guys completely killed the tour. Tell us about that tour.
Well, I'm going to jump in real quick, and Brokeback is going to run in through it a bunch because I know he had a lot to say. I just talk a lot. I'm going to start by saying that, and he's used to that, sadly. The ability for what we have put together as a group of individuals is amazing. You have Raina and Adam, who were just amazing designers, along with Nick Markoff, just killing it. And when they came in, I'm not going to lie, we were a bit stagnant, and they came in and they brought us to the next level. And what that did was that brought everyone up to the next level, including, Brokeback as the idea guy for the town, and also the designer, and me with actors. As you bring in these amazing people, it just brings you to the next level. We brought in Griffin, who doesn't ever talk, but he's a great person and is one of the best builders of different things you could possibly imagine. And Griffin Terry's amazing and blows my mind. But by having these people going to the next level, internally competing against each other, but we all think a little bit differently. So we're not all agreeing. We're fighting all the time in a good way, where we're going, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. We're like, no, I want this. And that struggle makes us better every single year. I'm going to give a good example. And I talk about the one time that Dave and I got into a big fight. It's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We have this church, and there's these lights on there, and there's this one red light. We're trying to figure out the goddamn red light, and I'm dead set against one thing. This fucking thing is the best goddamn thing ever, and he fixes something, and it looks better than anything that I had done. But it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been working since like 2 a.m. the day before, and I look at him and I just go, "Fuck you, fuck you," and he's like, "What?" I was like, "You were right," and I just leave. And that was it. That's it. In God, 12, 13 years we've been doing this. That was the one fight. And I tell everyone that story because that's kind of how Markoffs is that we're a bunch of very passionate, happy, but very determined people with these great ideas. And we want those ideas to work. And sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. But sometimes the guy next to you does something a little bit better. And it just motivates each one of us. Paul Brubacher, who's the VP, whatever they want to call him now, and LP, they help kind of keep us all in our little circle and make sure we don't break out and go too crazy. But those are the people who make this all happen every single year. And that's the amazingness of Markoffs, is that it's a constant battle of how we're going to outdo each other. So to answer your question about the East Coast Haunters Convention, to start that, and then yes, Brokeback, I promise you'll get an opportunity to talk.
I don't need.
When Nick said we were going to do this, it was right after we bought a plane. Brokeback, jump in.
You've heard about the plane.
Oh, yeah.
That's Terry. I asked Terry every interview, what do you want to know? I don't care. Markoffs came up. How'd you get the plane on the fucking hill?
Yeah. Well, how do we get the plane back to Markoffs? That's the big question. How did we get it in the first place? I get a message in the middle of the night on Facebook Messenger from my boss sending me a link to a Russian airplane and says, I need you to put a bid on this. And I thought I was getting scammed. There's plenty of Facebook scams out there. I was like, his profile got hacked. Why would he tell me to spend X amount of dollars on a Russian airplane? And I realized he was being serious. And so we moved forward with this. And it was out on the eastern shore of Maryland. Convinced the guy to sell it. We bought it, loaded it up on trailers, and drove it across the Bay Bridge. And boy, did it get some stares. In fact, people started taking pictures of it all over the place, and it started popping up on social media of what is this airplane and where is it going? Especially once it got to Poolsville, it really, where Markoffs is based out of, it was really raising a lot of eyebrows. And again, it reached the MoCo show, which is one of our local social media outlets, and they're like, what is going on with this plane?
Shout out, Alex. Shout out.
It's Markoffs. Of course it's Markoffs. That's where it's going. And so we got it out to the farm. It didn't fit on the road to get to the junkyard area.
I can imagine.
It was in parts and pieces, so it came disassembled, that we had to put it back together. And then we had Dave Anderson bring his crane out, and we hoisted that thing up in the air, brought it on over, and then had a bunch of steel sports welded underneath it and placed it gently right on there. And it now looms over you in the junkyard. You walk right underneath the wings and the propeller spinning, and it's wild.
And Brokeback, what weird bus is holding it up?
It's the original bus. So Markoff's Haunted Forest, before it was ever a forest, was a school bus that was once lived in. And then after it was done being lived in, it was converted into a mobile haunt that would drive around parking lots. You pay cash to come and get scared, and that's how they were first kind of getting their haunt bug, their first attempt at doing a haunted attraction. And they quickly outgrew that little bus. So now it sits there in the junkyard.
Wow.
So with the East Coast Haunters, so at that point, Nick was talking to Jen from East Coast Haunters, and Nick comes to us and says, do you think that we can do this? And everyone I just talked about said, hell yeah. We understand what we're taking on. We're taking on what is normally done in June, July, August, September, and saying, let's do it real quick in March and April. And we pulled everyone back in, and it became overwhelming, but no one slept. Everyone was just working. And we got it together. And we put together this I almost felt like it was almost perfect. It worked out so well, and because we cared so much about the people that were coming in from East Coast Haunters, because they're our peers. You guys are the people that we truly care about your opinion. The people that kind of walk through, we all know who they are. Some like, some don't. But the people who can appreciate each detail, who can appreciate the sound, who appreciate the smells, who appreciate the scares, the double taps, the triple taps, the jumping up and down. Everyone, you guys see it as we see it. And having those people come into our home was so vitally important. I'm not gonna lie, we were scared shitless because we were like, if we fuck this up, we've been doing this for 31 years. If we fuck this up, everyone's gonna be like, well, who are they? Who are these jackaloons over here doing fucking nothing in the middle of Poolsville? Because we never think of us as being done. We're always trying to be better. So having these, and then we went to, and Jen came in, and we found out we're going to get like 200 something people. Man, what a marvelous night that was. We the night before, I think we're all sitting around drinking bourbon, going, fuck, I don't know how this is going to work. Then the night the buses show up, everyone comes to the town and it's daylight. I can tell you I've never been so unhappy to see daylight in my life. And the car drivers show up and it's daylight and you're going through a haunt in daytime. Then I get text message from Alejo going, they're late. And then Jen calls me and goes, we are like 45 to an hour late. It ended up being like an hour and a half, 2 hours late. I'm literally dancing around the town on a walkie-talkie, yelling at people, they're fucking late. It's awesome. Because everyone was late, it got dark.
Yeah.
And all the lighting that there's in there for the town. So they walk off, and literally the two big buses pull up. And I jump into one, Nick jumps into the other, and I'm like, I don't care what you've been through. Tonight's the fucking night. Let's go. And everyone's like, yeah. A couple of them had a couple beers, I'm not gonna lie. But you get off the bus and you just saw this big bull skull lit up with red. And right next to it is Dave sitting there with a big ass grin on his face he has now, because we knew we were ready to go. Dave, feel free to jump in.
No. Yeah, it was quite the night. It was definitely daunting because, again, as Gumby said, these are people we look up to. People that I don't feel like I'm on their level. People like Alan Hops and Tater, and we got folks coming from all over the place. That again,
PA showed up and hung out for a while too.
Who was that?
Fiddle Screams PA hung out with us for a while.
Oh yeah, they were there, and we got folks from the Woods of Terror. We got Alan Hops. Again, all these people that are icons within the haunt industry that are coming through your attraction, and that was terrifying. But having John LaFlamboy come up to us at the show later on, and be like, "Dude, that was amazing." And we're talking Hell's Gate. Dude, Hell's Gate is again up here. It's at the top of the list. For haunts. And so when you have the LaFlamboys coming up and talking about how awesome that haunt was, your haunt was, it was wild. It was wild. As Gumby said, we did about 3 months of work in 6 weeks. There was not a lot of sleep. There was a lot of changes that had to be made. The trouble with being an outdoor attraction is that you're at the mercy of the elements. And so during the wintertime, trees fall, things break. It's not simply you go and flip a switch and everything's on.
Yeah.
There's a lot we had to do, even though we were just open, 6 months previously. There's a lot to do to just get it back to operational. And then we need to do a little bit more because we want to make those improvements and add scenes and change lighting and, all the things. But we pulled it off. And I will say after that, I went and I slept for a long time.
I'm sure.
And then went to the haunt show and got to go up to Pennsylvania and go through the Asylum, which was incredible Friday night.
Penhurst was great.
And, Penhurst really was a blast. So
They do a great job. They do.
When we left, so we finished our night, everyone left. And again, I pulled out 2 big bottles of bourbon. We all sat in our headquarters and we drank because everyone needed to drink. Then we all went to bed. I woke up as early as I could, and I took Kevin Heimbach, who's YouTuber, great. We drove up to PA, and then get there. And the first thing I do is there's some fresh cookies and a bottle of bourbon. I grab my bottle of bourbon. You guys haven't figured out what I drink yet.
I think it's bourbon.
Yeah, but I got my bottle and I got into a hot tub, and there's a great video of me just drinking, introducing Markoff's Haunted Forest to the East Coast Haunters that Kevin took, where it's like, this is what Markoff's doing, East Coast Haunters. I'm eating cookies in a hot tub while drinking bourbon and just laughing. And then everyone shows up right after that. It was kind of awesome. And then, of course, we spent that night. We did Penhurst, which was, again, they do a great job. Penhurst is just phenomenal and I mean, just amazing. The next day we get to the haunt convention. After we passed the cheerleading competition that was directly next to the weed show, which was someone didn't think that one through, or they really thought about it well, and all the parents are just walking back and forth because if I sit down for an all-day cheerleading convention, I'm not sober. But we finally make it over, and we get to see everyone, introduce ourselves, and just the love we got during the convention was phenomenal. I mean, beyond phenomenal. And it's almost overwhelming. I know we all said that, like, we always thought that we were good and we want to be better. And when people tell you how good you are, you still look at it and go, well, now I love what they said, but what can we do to make them keep saying it? So you don't let off the gas right now. Now you go, let's just punch it through the fucking floor and see what we can get away with. So that's the next step in our world.
Watching you guys punch it through the floor, that's going to be fucking amazing. Wow. So what did you guys think about the first, well, we know it's technically not the first East Coast Hunters Convention, but we'll say the new Trans World East Coast Hunters Convention. What did you guys think of the show?
I thought it was great. We were privy to a lot of information leading up to it, just since we were involved, and looking at the floor plan and vendors and everything else. And we were really wondering, like, how many vendors are going to come that we'd normally see in St. Louis? How many are going to be there in Pennsylvania? And get shocked at the turnout, the fact that that place was packed. What I also loved is, we go to St. Louis every single year, and we love being with the professionals and our other folks within the haunt industry. But the fans that came out to East Coast, just the haunted house enthusiasts, the horror enthusiasts, people that were fully decked out in costumes, it was awesome to see. They brought a great energy. And again, that place was packed. The convention center was packed.
That's the button.
The one thing I noticed right away was the amount of normies. Like, there's a lot of fans here. They weren't expecting this, because you had your industry people, which you know who was who. You guys have been around long. We've been around. You could tell who was who. But the amount of just normal people, like families of 5, walking through, it amazed me. And I was like, to quote Jaws, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh, yes. God, yeah. Well, talk about normies. This is so completely a second order with this one. So this woman comes by while we were finishing up one night, and she comes by and she goes, "Who does this? Who puts this together? Who puts all this together?" She's like pointing at the town. And Brokeback are like, "Well, it's us." And when we're working at the Haunted Force, this is what we look like. Like, we have our hats, we have shirts, but we look like normal people. And she's like, no, but who really does this? Yeah, I'm 47. Brokeback's younger than I am. I just look like a normal dude. But she couldn't wrap her mind around that inside of our skulls is the most demented shit you could possibly imagine. But when we smile, it's like, hey, it's all good. We're having a good time. And she left almost like, no. There's somebody behind the curtain that's completely out of their goddamn mind. It was like, no, it's us. Now, to add to that same year, we're sitting at Cafe Rio in April, eating burritos. And we're trying to figure out something about body parts. So we're having a discussion at Cafe Rio in April about how different body parts need to fit together. We don't think about what we're saying. And we look over after about 30 minutes, and there's 2 people seated eating, the most nervous eating I've ever seen in my entire life. Until I look over, it's like, oh my God, they've been listening to this the entire time. We look like the most nonchalant serial killers on the face of the earth right now. And we're eating burritos like, oh, this would taste better if it was a kneecap. And like, we're just doing that stuff. And all of a sudden I look over, and again, hysterical moment. I'm like, oh, guys, no, so we just work for Markoffs. And they go, oh, okay. And they just leave. And you're like, oh my God, that's all I have to say now to get away with like serial killer? Holy shit. But to go more into like the East Coast Honors, sorry, I jump sometimes. But to go to the East Coast Honors, it was awesome. It was awesome to meet you guys officially, like in person. It was great seeing so many people in the industry that we have kind of met, but also having already done Thursday on our shoulders. All of a sudden, we were treated not better, but as equals. And previously, the problem with Markoffs is that we're kind of far away. We're in the middle of nowhere. To get there, it's hours away. We're an hour and a half from most airports. Like, it's not an easy thing. So, but people finally see what we do and go, they're like, you're the person that did that. It really felt great. And also, as I said, you want to make sure that you never let these people down.
Yeah, we had many discussions about the show. I thought it was awesome. Like you said, it was nice to finally meet all the people I've been talking to for years. You know what I mean? Like, people all over this country, random YouTubers, haunt owners. It was nice to actually like meet people. Saturday I lost my voice because I've never talked that much in my entire life. It was incredible. All right, so Markoffs won our prestigious 2023 Trail of the Year and Midway of the Year hands down, and was completely in discussion and arguments for Haunt of the Year.
What do we need to do to get that? We got Midway, we got
We got to
Trail.
beat Woods of Terror, right?
Who do I gotta pay?
Well, Reapers won last year.
I know that. Yeah. Great.
They are.
Oh.
And I'll tell you the reason. I don't give my picks online, but I'll tell you after.
Please, absolutely.
It was an argument.
It was an argument. But here's the absolute deal for you guys and everyone watching. I haven't stopped thinking about Markoffs since the season ended. I talked to Fall Ritual, Haunt Review Crew, John the Haunt Informer. We still talk about Markoffs. It's ingrained in my head. Other than the 13th Gate in Baton Rouge, this place took my breath away.
I'm going to think about the chair that Dave's sitting in for the rest of my life. Okay, but no, we appreciate that. That's amazing to hear of the impact that we have made upon the haunt community.
Yeah.
I'm going to have nightmares of that chair, Dave. I'm just not going to lie to you. But knowing all those people, like, again, I appreciate that. And Dave and I have talked about this for years and years and years. What we truly love is the in-depth, truthful reviews, because we watch them? Yeah, we're like high school girls. We're like, oh, what do they say about us? But we don't only do the good stuff, the bad stuff, or the stuff that we say can improve. We actually listen to that, and we come in and if we see something that's kind of consistent, we'll understand what we need to change. The reviewers and the podcasts have made us as a haunt better. And you're not going to hear that very often. There's someone who would freely admit to that we actually do pay attention, that we do want to do better. And sometimes we do, someone jumps in, you're like, that was trash. That's not true. That's crap.
Yeah.
But somebody comes in with this wonderful and thought out, who are part of the community, and they're like, it was a 5 and it was amazing. It was almost perfect. Here's where it could change. And you go, ooh, that's a good one. Oh, we didn't see that one because we were thinking over here, and you thought over here, and now we just dial that, go from 8 to a 10 here, and we get excited. So
yeah, and that's one thing I always wanted to do. And there are soft groups out there. Everything was awesome. Everything was great. Everything was awesome. I don't do that. And I kind of ripped into a place, but professionally, because every haunt I love because you're out there haunting. So yep. I just gave my 2 cents, and a day later, the Instagram had a message from the haunt. I'm like, fuck. But she was really awesome, and she wanted to know where my safety concerns were, and really appreciated it. That's why I tell everyone, just be honest, because everyone grows. Whether you get 12 views on a video or 12,000, people watched it. People are going to pay attention, and we fixed safety issues and black washers at Laurel's. They had
God damn it, Alejo!
Alejo, you got to come on.
Laurel, we love Laurel. They're awesome. They are friends of ours. So
I love everyone there. I hung out with Mandy for a lot of the convention, just watching her makeup people.
Yeah. One of the first years I went to St. Louis, we actually caught up with Laurel on accident. We went and did like a side adventure, and like they jumped into a car with us, and we're getting in the car, and it was like, oh, you're from Maryland too? They were from Laurel. We're like, oh, let's roll. And we all did this whole thing together. Well, what Adam do? And it was just so much fun. It was so much fun. So we really got to know them intimately in such a wonderful way, and they're a great group of people. I mean, almost as good as us.
I'm staying out of that battle. I got great friends on both sides. I'm going to be over here because I love both.
I
was going to say, it's comparing apples.
The earth.
It's comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah.
With two totally different attractions, two totally different styles.
Yeah.
We love Laurel.
They had a black wall. I think it was like a gear seed, like a gear wallogram.
Yeah.
And they had silver washers. Just stupid shit catches my eye in these places. So I mentioned it. Sure enough, they took the black spray paint back there.
But that stupid shit makes us better.
Yes, that's why.
It's the little details too that take you out. So like you're immersed in the scene and you're in it,
Right.
and all of a sudden you're taken out of it, and you're like, dang, it's something so small like a silver washer that can throw things off, and now you're no longer engaged. So
yeah. So what can we expect to see from 2024? You can give up as much as you want or as little as you want. I will not pry or pin.
The town, if you went to East Coast Haunters, will have something called corn, and will be twice as long because we have our corn. So if you thought the town was short because you were East Coast Haunters, we apologize. We can't make corn happen in April as hard as we try. As far as what we're going to do next, is a plane not good enough? What more do you want from us?
I was the first one to quote on that plane. I said, "What the fuck?"
But I think we have, again, the good thing about East Coast Haunters is that we are more prepared for next year than we usually are. However, the problem also comes up. Now we have the ideas coming in, the books. So I can't give away anything because we don't know the ideas we're going to pick yet. We're at that point where we're like, we've molded it. Now we just shatter the mold and redo things. And that's the problem in our heads where it's like, we're never done. Dave and I have already talked about about 4 or 5 different things that we need to change in the town. And that's just the town. That's not counting all the things in the woods with their thinking next. And again, we work closely with them, and it's just, there's so many small nuances that we're like, and I'll be honest, because I love that. We need to change our last scene in the town. It needs to be a little bit better. That's the part where it's been bothering us for a year. That's what I think we're going to work on. I can't guarantee it, but I think we'll work on that. Dave, I'm sorry. I was being honest. I apologize.
No, you got to be honest. We actually have really big plans for rerouting the whole thing and finishing totally different. And
I love finishing differently.
Yes. Yes. Adding on to the House of Sin, to our brothel.
I love the brothel. That was a good time.
That was funny.
Yeah.
It was. We went through with John, the Haunted Informer, and
Yeah.
he's a more reserved person. And the girl did her little fingernail on me. Hey, Big Daddy. And John goes, "She touched you." I'm like, "Yeah, John, she touched. Relax. It's okay. It's part of the game."
Yeah. Well, so when a few years back, I went to Dave and we're like, "Listen, I need to change something," because we had a no-touch policy. And I said, "No, we need to change to where we can touch you, but you can't touch the actors." And everyone kind of lost their mind over it. And I said, "Trust me, it's going to be okay." But, and again, most people that watch this are in the haunt community. So I'm going to give away a little bit of a secret here. If I tell you I'm going to touch you, if I do it too much, it ruins the haunt. So it has to be very small, very select moments that make it worth it. Like someone running a nail right down your back. That's perfect. If I grab you and shake you and move you, that's not scary. That's just weird. That's just fucking weird. Get away from me. But if you do small nuances of the jump, the pop, those are the things that turn people. But also when they first get there and you say, "We can touch you, you can't touch us," the look on people's faces drop. Because all of a sudden it's like, no, bitch. We're in control. It's us. You're in our world. Now walk.
Yep. It creates another level of fear that's really not needed to be feared, but it does.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all psychological. When you're teaching people how to act, you have to teach people that it's not all pop scares. You got to entertain. You got to pop. You got to move. You got to how to do it correctly. If you can make somebody laugh and then the next moment jump out and scare the shit out of them, you took them from here to there, back to there. Now they've shit their pants.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what we do. We got to make that whole transition happen, more or less.
So where does the creative process start? Like, who came up with we really need a plane, we need a Viking town, or a mining cave and anal probes on a spaceship? Um, where does it start? Like, what is your guys' machine for that?
So Paul is the one to blame for the anal probes.
That cracked me the fuck. I,
Your
I
Honor,
I'm not a big sci-fi guy, and it was really
neither is
cool
Paul.
in
He just
there.
likes anal probes.
And when that alien turned around and said that to me, I was like, this whole scene was fucking worth it just for that.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. What's neat is that so a lot of it is the brainchild of Nick Markoff. The plane was definitely all him. And it was mostly us being like, okay, he wants it. How can we make it safe? How can we do it right? Because one thing that you might hear about Nick Markoff is that it's two screw Nick Markoff right there. He's only put two screws in something that needs 4 or 5. So we gotta come in after him sometimes and fix some things up. But he's wild, he's crazy. He will just start going and start building. And so that vampire scene, especially, all those cool peak roofs, wild things, that is all Nick Markoff. And he's not drawing things out. He's just going out there and freehanding it. Sitting up there with a chainsaw and with a nail gun and screw gun and just going to town building an entire vampire village. It's wild.
Well, and there's also a lot of like trial and error in what we do. A great example is so in our corn for the town, Brokeback did a whole like sound effects with his kids. And I walked through one day and he's sitting there and like a small child himself laughing. And all of a sudden he hears like, Daddy, why are you doing it? And I just hear children in the corn. I was like, oh, but it's all trial and error. Like he tried it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does work. But I was like, I looked at him, I was like, ooh. And we worked so long together. He'll know when I'm bullshitting him because I don't do that. But it's this wonderful world where it's a lot of trial and error. But also you walk through and you said you're building something. Sometimes you get to something, you're like, this is trash. And you just, rather than keep working on it, you tear it down and you start over. And that's the hardest thing to understand is that you didn't succeed. That doesn't mean the idea was wrong. That means you just went in a slightly wrong direction. And now you just take it and you go, and you talk to people and say, if I go here, there it is. There's the piece I need. There's the difference. And wait, maybe the actor's in the wrong spot. Maybe I do this. Maybe I do this. And that's a constant change of what's going on in the world. That's how we kind of, the question, of course, was like, how do we think of these things? We have a lot of experience. And then, like, I've been to over 120 haunts myself. So you go to some haunts, and some of them are, someone's backyard, but they have that one thing in the corner, and you go, I want to do that. Brokeback and I have an entire book just filled with ideas. And sometimes we go back and we laugh at the ideas because they were horrible. But sometimes we'll be like, we still need to do that. And again, with Raina and Adam and Nick and Paul and LP and Griffin, they have these wonderful ideas, and you just start manifesting them, and it's awesome, and it's fucking awesome. And then we come in and change it a little bit or think a little something and go, maybe if you did this, and that's where that whole everyone thinking a little bit different works in.
It's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
So you guys, we talked about it a little bit earlier. You guys are building outdoors. We have winters in Maryland. How much do you have to fix before starting on next year's build? I mean, I know it changes year to year, but how much is devastated in the winter?
Sometimes a lot. Again, we had pretty much every year we have trees fall and do damage in the woods. One of the problems about being in the woods. For us in the town, we don't have trees, but we have really high winds that blow across the hayfields. In fact, a couple years ago, we had a tornado actually come through the town, and it leveled some buildings, both for the town, but also just on the farm itself. So a literal tornado going across, and you can see the path of destruction. Like trees are everywhere. It went and flattened the building. It was insane. And we had to scramble. and do a lot of stuff. And the good thing about that, is that it causes you to rebuild and to think new and make something fresh. And so that's actually where the entrance to the town, that barn facade, came from, is because the previous one had gotten taken out by the tornado. And so we had to start fresh, and we recreated that and built it bigger and better. And now when you come up and it's all lit up and you just see that skull above the top of the barn, it's a great way to start. And people start freaking out because like, wait, the tractor's stopping. We have to get off the walk now? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where did
and
you guys find those old Walt Disney transport vehicles? Like, they look like transport vehicles from like the 60s.
I know. They may rightfully been from the 60s. They came from down in DC. It was a tourmobile doing the monument sightseeing tours down there.
Mm.
Yeah. So not designed to be pulled by a tractor. That's something we had to do and modify. We have a whole machine shop and automotive shop there on the farm. And so our crews went ahead and took those and modified them to be used with our farm tractors. But they're awesome and they work and with electric and pneumatic to where you flip a switch and the gate pops open, and it's pretty cool.
They are cool looking.
They are cool.
What's crazy is kind of Brokeback talked about is also like most of the equipment that we have and also most of the animatronics we have to rebuild once we buy them. Because as you guys have seen, a lot of the animatronics can go like 20, 30 times a night. We're trying to get it to do hundreds of times, if not 1,000 times a night. So we have to take all of the animatronics and restructure them. And then also when you go to like St. Louis or East Coast Honor, you buy one and the actual audio is about 30, 40 seconds long. We have to cut that down to like 8 to 10 seconds because reset for the next people. So yeah, so our shop is constantly changing what we're doing because we have to rebuild everything over and over and over again.
That's really cool.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Not custom built unless you
Right.
build it yourself. Do you guys have a favorite scene in either the town or the trail?
No, I don't. I don't because I know it in the town. Because I love them all because we built them. They're like small children. My favorite thing that we've ever built that was ridiculous is so we built a church, and inside the church, I'm telling the story, Burke, don't worry about it. There's a lady that scares you from the ceiling. And Dave gets onto this ladder and we have to turn everything off. It's probably again 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm holding the girl up. He's putting her in. He doesn't tell me that he's cut his finger open. So we're sweating like crazy. So I'm just getting sweat all over my face. And I'm like, it doesn't taste like sweat. It's weird. So he'd cut his finger and he was just bleeding on my face as we were putting in an animatronic. I look up and he just starts laughing. I start laughing. We wrap his finger. So that's my favorite like little moment of like building something. On the trail, visually, I'm a huge fan of the Viking Village.
Oh, yeah.
And for very personal reasons, I'm a really big fan of the lake. Because I have a lot more to do with the lake than people realize. So that makes me very happy is that little lake as you walk through and I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, that was something from Gumby's haunt that we took. And we're like, we need that at Markoffs. What Gumby didn't tell you was that where he built his haunt was where Markoffs was first the haunted forest. And so they just had people showing up thinking that it was Markoffs haunted forest. And instead it's, what was it? Spooky Hollow?
I took their money. Don't worry.
So I felt it was only fair that we took the lake and the Bellagio effect that Gumby had over at his place because he was literally on the old Markoff's Haunted Forest property doing his own little haunt. So.
I was going to say all that. I'm just saying.
I have to say one of my favorite scenes right now is the witches scene in the woods. If you've seen that, especially at night with the misters on, it is just breathtaking. With all the natural wood and just it's like a sculpture, to be honest. So it's just very beautiful. very beautiful and creepy too. When you see the witches all around the cauldron out there, and you're not sure which one's real, and so it is scary, but it's also just gorgeous.
If you guys are ever around Poolsville and you want to like a behind the scenes tour and PT's over, let us know.
I don't have to be around. I'll come. I'll be there as soon as I can walk. Trust me. Once I can get uphill, shit, I might make her push me uphill.
I remember coming up to that Viking ship, and I was like, "Holy shit! There's water.
Yeah,
There's real water.
it's real water.
Yeah,
yeah, it's awesome. It's that again. The first time I walked across it, I did the same thing. It was like, fuck, we're good. That's awesome. The Viking ship had the same idea like when I walked on the mine shaft for the first time. You just get excited.
Yeah.
You're a child again in this beautiful, beautiful moment. You go, I gotta remind myself how happy I am at this exact time.
Yeah, I think there was even like a natural mist over the water when we went,
Yes.
wasn't there? Yeah.
It's not natural, but it is water. So one of the neat things that we incorporate into the woods is, and it's throughout in numerous scenes, is a high pressure misting system. So instead of fog, we use fog in a lot of different spots, but there's certain ones that just call for actual mist.
Yeah.
And it's cold. It drops the temperature down. You really feel it. It's heavy. It looks cool, and it's just so much more fitting than cloud of fog rolling across there. So the Vikings is one of those. The Witches is another one of those scenes up by the bayou. There's lots of places where we incorporate this high pressure mist system in to create those effects, because it's not just the looks; it's everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, the cooling helps. It defines many scenes. It really does. I mean.
Yeah.
Because we start probably beginning of September hitting all these places. It's still 90 degrees out.
Oh yeah.
So I think we got I don't remember when we got the Markoffs. Probably the second week in October, and it was finally cooling down, and I enjoyed every second of it. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest, I didn't know shit about Markoffs.
Right.
I knew it was one I wanted to get to for a couple years, and we finally got it on the map, and we had the kids. We were dropping them off at my dad's. I'm like, it's 3 hours there. There's 2 attractions. We'll be home in like 6 hours. No, I was fucking wrong.
We walked through that gate and went, "Holy fuck!"
Well, so one of the issues that we didn't realize we had was that so hyper local, the DMV. From Frederick, Maryland to Poolsville, Maryland, down to DC and parts of Northern Virginia, we were so well known. Again, it's a rite of passage to go to Markoff's Haunted Forest, and has been for 30 years, and people love it. But we did not realize that nationally how that was working. So right now we're this amazing hidden gem that no one's ever seen, that's been around for 32 years and killing it. Like, we've been there the whole time doing this and making it better and better. But and that's, again, with the East Coast Haunters and St. Louis and all these great haunts where they come around, they go, oh shit. Like, we heard and people have said, but it really is. And we're like, yeah. A couple of idiots got together, and look, the Markoff brothers got together. Yes, I call the Markoff brothers idiots. They're actually amazing people. But us as designers and acting and all that stuff, we're all a bunch of idiots who just do things, and it's worked. And it's worked out so phenomenally well that, are you fucking kidding me? This is awesome.
That was the exact words out of my mouth when I saw the Midway, when I looked around the Midway, when I got into the haunted forest and saw like full 3-story buildings. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I'm on a boat in water. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't remember a whole lot because of the shock that I was in. Like, I'm going to have to go through like 4 or 5 times to remember scenes, because I don't remember shit. I remember little bits and pieces of stuff because it all hit me. And,
yep.
Damn.
The crazy part is, we used to change the Midway every single year. For like 25 to 27 years, we changed the Midway. We finally had to stop doing it because we're like, this is taking over, and again, that's also where the town and the Detroit got even better. Was we stopped focusing as much on the midway because we would tear the whole thing down and rebuild it in a theme. I think the last one was like Day of the Dead or something like that. And we just every year it was like, nuclear theme and this theme and that theme, and we had to stop doing it. Just
actually, the last one was Black Death, and it was right before COVID. Before COVID, we did the Black Death.
Yeah, we predicted it, guys. Sorry.
We did. So that was our final theme. We killed the themes at that point, but
that's a lot of work because that's a huge bid. Like I think what was there, 20 stores or something like that?
It was a lot.
That's a lot of shacks.
Yeah.
You guys might want to think about like
an
Airbnb cabin in one of the places, like a little twin.
Yeah.
Don't say that. The Markoff brothers will have it built within the week.
Sorry.
Like, who likes tiny houses? We have 60 of them.
I would so stay there.
She would stay. She would book it. She wouldn't care how much it cost.
Yeah.
They cannot see this video, Brokeback.
Going back to that whole midway thing, so it's the same reason why the hayride stopped being the hayride. Was that midway was in a place not where it's currently located. It was actually a couple hundred yards over, and it was space that was shared with. It's where our kitchen is, our commercial kitchen. It's where the challenge course is, the ropes course. And so, again, we were competing with all these school programs of coming out doing outdoor education. And we're trying to build people up. And they're looking at these bodies that are hanging around and these giant smoldering fire pits. And it was starting to get in the way of the other business aspects of Kaleva. And so, it was two things. It was one, it was a lot of energy and a lot of resources building out from scratch every single year. But two, it needed to be moved and it needed to be permanent because it needed its own space away from the other aspects of Kaleva.
Yeah.
And so thankfully it now has a permanent home right there. It's great. It used to be that you'd walk out from the junkyard and you'd have a long dark walk all the way back up to basically where the entrance is. And then you're back into the midway. So now the fact that it dumps you right out into the current midway, so much nicer.
Yeah, I fell in love with the midway. Hands down the best midway I've ever seen in my life. The food options are fantastic. It was honestly,
I like how we were in line for the forest and there's like a little shop where you can get a snack.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. I felt like I was at Disney.
Yeah, those guys are slinging. George Markoff is slinging waffles over there and everybody waiting in line.
Dude, it's the best idea because that line. It's a line. It's a haunt line. It's what it is. If you can eat while in a haunt line, I'm down. So you got my 5. You got that dude's 5. You got that shit all day.
And the cotton candy.
If I work there and I'd pay $5. I'm hungry. Give it to me. That guy. Give me food.
Yep.
The cotton candy.
Her favorite's the cotton candy.
Oh yeah. One of the neat things about the midway and about you mentioned a haunt line. Yes, we do have one. You can't get away from the line. But our ticketing system is actually very different where when you arrive, you get a number. And so you're waiting for your number to be called. And so, yes, it means that you can go get in line and then you'll have a little bit of a wait. But it means that instead of standing in a permanent line for the entire time, you can roam around the midway. You can go get that cotton candy. You can try the death roll or go ziplining or do any of the other things that are there in the midway. And then when it's your turn, sit by the fire, exactly. And then when it's your turn, you have a shorter line and a shorter wait, and you can enjoy yourself a little bit more out there in midway.
I think I spent a combined half hour just staring at the fire and going, "That's a big fucking fire."
There's 3 of them. There's not just one. There's 3.
Yeah, it's a big fucking fire. Like there's whole fucking trees set ablaze 3 feet in front of you, and if I can't see over, I'm not a short dude. I'm 5'10". And if I can't see over the fire, it's a big fucking fire.
when the night ends and it's like the later October when it's kind of chilly outside, especially us coming from the town, we walk into the midway, and I can tell you what, your feet are cold, your hands are cold, because Brooke and I have to like turn everything off. So when we walk back up, it's dark, it's cold, and you get to the fire, and you're just like, that's like the best like 5 minutes where you're just de-thawing and you're like, oh my God. And you don't want to leave it. You just want to sit there and just let the warmth just come back to your body. Oh, thank you, Finney, for putting the fire together. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a piece. And to further the point about lines and having the number system, we completely forgot about the number system.
Right.
We
did.
looked up like, oh shit, we're like 4 back. We could go in now. Is how cool that midway is. Because we go to enough of these in, out, let's get the fuck out of here. We could go to another one or whatever. To me, not even noticing it's our turn in queue just goes to show you how the midway is.
Well, so because again, we are so far removed from so many things, we realized we had to make it an entire adventure while you're there. If you made it in and out, again, from DC, it's an hour. From most other small towns in the area, it's 30 minutes. So it's an hour round trip. So if you get there and it's a 15-minute walk through, and someone asks you if you want a t-shirt for $20 and you go, I'm good, and then you're home by 8 o'clock, what good is that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, make it a night for your family, a night for a date, a night for whatever it is. But when you come to Markoffs, it's an adventure for the entire evening.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a touch and go.
Yeah. And I keep going back to the midway, but we have close friends that are scared to death in here. But now they can come because the midway's fucking epic. We can go through. They're not going to be sitting on a chair waiting for us to come out because there's so much shit to do. Like, it just adds another piece to bringing people to this amazing place.
And sometimes we'll walk up to people kind of sitting there waiting for people. And I'm like, how long ago were they in there? They're like, oh, like 30, 35 minutes. I was like, come over here and stand. Just come over here and stand. If you wait about 5 to 10 minutes, you're seeing your friends sprint out of here. And you want to talk about, again, the going to the midway is free. Hanging out the midway is absolutely free. When you see your friends sprinting out with a chainsaw coming after them, it is a story that is told for eons. And I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you. Don't forget for me to tell them what scene it was where you jumped twice in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to hear about that.
All right, so it's bucket list time. 3 haunts that you've been dying to get to.
Ooh. Okay. HHN, never been.
Okay.
Does that count as a haunt?
For this purpose, we could do that.
Okay. Nevermore? No, sorry. Netherworld in Atlanta. Never been. I used to live in Atlanta. Pissed off I never went. Would love to go there. And I think just because of how hyped up I've been brought up by Raina, I'd love to see Haunted Overload. And I'm going to add a 4th because I really want to see them.
You can add 10 and go for it.
Reaper's Revenge. Those will be those are the ones I've not been to that encompass, because I have a good friend of mine whose husband works for Reaper Revenge, and she keeps talking about it. Now I'm like, I gotta go. So those are the ones I'm like, those are it.
Awesome.
Yeah, Gumby stole pretty much all mine. I did go down. I was teaching in Atlanta for another job this winter, actually shortly before this, and happened to swing by Netherworld on my way out, and stopped by and just, of course they weren't open, but got to go through their little Halloween museum there. It was pretty cool. I was like, hey, I'm with Markoffs. We're going to be on the East Coast Haunt Tour. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And dressed, of course, not like this, dressed in normal everyday attire, not looking like a haunter whatsoever. And of course, they all came. Ben from Netherworld came up and came to the attraction, and was one of the big reasons why Markoffs was on the Haunt Tour, in fact. And so I need to go through when they're actually running everything. Because I'd love to see that. Another one I'm sad I never got the chance to see while they're open, House of Shock, down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
One of those.
We went to the replacement, and from I can't say because I've never been to House of Shock. It was a fun haunt, but I hear it's nothing like House of Shock.
House of Shock used to have like concerts in the front, just going crazy even before you went in. Like that would have been, oh my God, awesome.
Yeah, House
I
of
mean,
Shock.
I had one more on my list.
Go for it.
Woods of Terror. They're folks that I've followed along on social media for a long time and love what they're doing. We're about the same age. We've been doing this for about the same time. And I really want to get down to North Carolina and go through Woods of Terror.
Yeah,
and
that's on ours.
Guys, it's everything they put out is fantastic. And again, I just want to see it all for myself.
Yeah.
Not just
now a little side note.
Social media.
Well, I've been to many haunts with Brokeback. And then at every single haunt we go to, I like to steal something from the haunt and then slide it in his pocket. And then as he leaves, he finds it. Usually it's like a small, never bigger than a quarter. Usually like a small bone or something fun. So he'll like go through his pocket and get his wallet, and also like a bone will fall out or something. And I'm always like laughing my ass off about that because I'm like, oh, so he just now knows that at some point in time, something's finding their way into there. So I apologize to every haunt we've ever been to, but I got to get him something.
We do not condone theft on the Halloween.
No, I'm just putting the warning out. Everybody glue down your stuff before Gumby comes through. Okay?
I will find it.
God.
I will find it and I will remove it because I'm like, and then he'll like the pocket will be open in his coat and I'll just drop it in there as he's walking by. I'm like, yes.
That's awesome.
That's before I get scared and I run away.
All right, so 3 haunts that have standed out to you through the time. Like 3 that always come back into your mind, like, oh, that was really cool. I really want to go back there. It doesn't have to be your favorite 3, best 3, whatever. Just 3 that always stick with you.
Dave, go ahead. You go first this time.
Field Street, PA is one of the ones that's just one of the haunts that I've been to probably the most because it's close proximity to us. But again, the things they do are just crazy up there. I love to see everything they put out. They go big, especially with their hayride. That was something that when I was running the hayride, I really looked up to and aspired. So Field Screams PA always putting out incredible stuff. Got to give it up to Haunted Overload as well. They're ones again that we really look to. Eric up there is fantastic. The fact that what he creates again is beautiful. It's artwork. It's something that looks so cool. Yes, it's scary as well, but you look at it and you're like, all right, that is just incredible. That is amazing. So I'm always drawn to the stuff that they're putting out there, and can't wait to go back and go see those guys again. The third one, I could throw it out to Salt Lake, to Fear Factory. I don't know if you guys have been out there to that.
Nope, it's on our list though.
But you need to go check out Fear Factory. It is incredible. In an old cement plant in downtown Salt Lake. You see it from the road when you drive along I-15. So every time I'm coming and going from the airport out there, I'm always driving past. And it's a place that like truly is haunted, and they've done just an amazing job of, making that thing happen. And it's such a unique haunt, and they go with, again, the theme that's there. That's what I love, is that they really tie in this whole factory thing, because they're an old cement factory, and there's nothing that I love more than a haunt that just embraces the natural sets, the natural scenes that they're built in.
Ooh, 3? All right, here we go.
It's hard to just think of 3.
Well, no, it's not, and one of them kind of exists but doesn't anymore. So I'm going with Field Screams PA only again because Brokeback says we've been going there ever since we started doing this together. So that brings back like nostalgia. Like it's but they also are amazing. So and we have a good relationship with them. And going in there and seeing what they do and how they do it, you're just like, hey, touche. They really bring there's a couple in the Lancaster area that are really good, but they're just at the next level. And I love watching that. And I also love when I'm VIP and I paid extra money and I walk back past those massive lines of people, and then you get to the second row of the massive lines of people and you go, holy crap. But they also do a great job of what Brokeback and I have worked on is diversion, where you take people and you move them around away from their group. And I really appreciate that. And sometimes you'll find yourself by yourself at Field of Screams and you're like, I don't know what's happening, but I love it. Again, they also have tased me, and I've eaten some weird things at their area, so they're cool. I'm a huge fan of Pennhurst, and I have been ever since they opened. Part of the reason is because they have such a great actual facility And once you realize the history of it, and even the way they break up their haunts is kind of cool. Sometimes you walk through a building that's just condemned or almost condemned with spray paint, and you walk through, and that's like your relaxation time, knowing people died there, and you're getting haunted there. Like, this place is truly haunted. And the third one that used to be amazing was Eastern State Penitentiary.
Yes.
It used to be the epitome of everything you want in a haunt. Visually, as you walk through, phenomenal. Every scare was so good. Every idea, even if it didn't work, was so well thought out. They had the puzzle thing for a while and this and that, but they were trying to be on the cutting edge of everything. And then you see Al Capone, and then they always had like alcohol. It was the first time I ever had alcohol, but they always treated you like prisoners. It was such an experience. And it was an experience that we would drive to Philly for. We'd do Penhurst and we do Eastern State, and then we'd go eat shitty cheesesteaks at Geno's and Pat's. They are shitty, but they're open at 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's be honest. And then we drive home. So we're getting home at 5 o'clock in the morning here in Maryland, but it was worth it. But then Eastern State changed. And when they changed, it was like someone took a child from me, because now it's not good. I'm sorry, Eastern State. I'm sorry to say that to you. You used to be on that bucket list every year. I had to come see you. Now it's like, I want to go to the daytime tour because it's cooler on the daytime tour than it is on the nighttime haunted attraction. So yeah, exactly. It's not whatever the hell it is now. And that's the thing, man. It's just, it used to be so good. So I used to go up to Philly, and then, and then to add to that, Maryland, I got to give Maryland a shout out. We got Nevermore in Baltimore, who does a great job. They're still getting better. Joe does a phenomenal job, but he's also he used to be worked at the town at Markoffs. So the owner, but he does some cool stuff. So I'd love to see it in Laurel, of course. I'd love to see what they're doing next. But fucking Eastern State, man.
Dude,
you were there, man. You were there.
You're singing to the choir.
Yes.
It comes up a lot because Terror Behind the Walls was epic. And I'll tell you a true story. We went last year to Halloween Nights. They invited us. I was like, you know what? Let's see. And she had fun. I had an okay time. Machine Shop, which is still the only haunt left from Terror Behind the Walls, was a fun haunt. The rest, you went to
It was a giant party.
Yeah. You went into a 6-second clown maze. And then you just came out the other side. But when you leave, I think it's called the crypt, which is really just abandoned stuff. And then when you came out, you saw the back of the sign for the crypt, and there it said Terror Behind the Walls. And I wanted to cry because it felt like it's kind of still here, but it's not.
It's not the same.
They have the greatest shell of any attraction on the face of the earth, and they're fucking it up. It's mind-boggling.
I want to thank you.
All you have
I
to
really
do. Not suck.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry,
no, you're fine. Listen, it's nothing that I haven't said on this channel before.
Yeah.
It's
Eastern State Penitentiary. Do better.
Yeah, stop the college bullshit and put your haunt back in. That's what it is.
It's like a college party.
You can't be a haunt and family friendly. It doesn't match. No. It doesn't go together. Scare the shit out of people. People will show up. You make money. Scare the shit out of people, and everyone will be happy.
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget walking in. It's dark. It's ominous. You saw the spotlight saying Terror Behind the Walls, and you hear like nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's silent around. Then you get into 8 attractions, and even the bus ride from the zoo was fun because you're with a bunch of loony bins.
And then you went. There was a bar across the street that was awesome. If you went to, so that was cool. But also, like, you walked in and they separated the guys and the girls. If it was only for a second, it was still psychologically fun. Yeah. They were like, you go here, and you're like, they have the siren going, they have the cops, and they had the queue line actors that were amazing they were. Come out of nowhere. Oh,
The spotlights that came down from the towers that beamed on you. They threw her. Remember when you actually walked through the prison? Like there was actual cells, and they had cells that they would.
Took that away. I haven't been there since they bullshitted this.
It's gone, bro.
Yeah, it's gone. They used to strap you to a gurney. They'd pull people aside, and you're on the doctor scene, and somebody gets strapped to a gurney and wheeled down the hallway, and it's like, this is real. This is terrifying.
Yeah, they threw her in an actual prison cell. They took her son, took him through a real prison cell, out a separate exit, so he had to walk through this abandoned jail by his fucking self to get back to the team.
That's the way you haunt. That's the way you haunt. You don't haunt by going, hey, you guys want to have a party? No! Scare me.
And I want to add that it was $27 for French toast bites.
Ooh.
That seems a little bit high.
Yeah, I thought so. I just wanted to throw that out there. That was the first thing in my review.
Yeah. If you want really shitty cheesesteaks, just go to Gino and Pat's. A lot less expensive.
Yeah, I think it was more than my drink.
It was. Yeah.
And I had a fancy drink.
In her fancy take-home cup.
Did it have a light-up thing?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. It's like you're giving me less alcohol by making a weird light-up thing. I'm going to the bar across the street that has the windows open. I'm going to party there for 27 minutes as you guys let this happen. It's cool. I don't care if Al Capone was here. He's not making my drink.
Yeah.
And if he is, that's much cooler.
I knew you were going to bring up Eastern State when you said it was still here, but not really.
So bitter. I'm so bitter about it.
I am, man. It's tough. But I'm out of questions. You guys got anything else to add? What's coming up for the season? You don't have to add anything.
Let me jump in.
Go for it.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I truly appreciate the people that work at Markoff Forest. All the people we've talked about, all the things we do. If you want to get scared, if you are a person who loves to get the shit scared out of you, and you want to come on our soil, understand our job is to do that. Our job is to scare you. Our job is to psychologically change what you're thinking, to go from entertaining to scaring to messing with you to having fun. Our job is to make sure you enjoy your night, but at the end of the night, you remember who we are. So when you come to Markoff's Haunted Forest, remember the most important thing. We're going to scare the living shit out of every motherfucker who steps foot on our soil. And also, we love you.
Awesome.
That's the way to put it.
Yep. And they do scare you.
That's how I start my pump-up speeches to all our staff.
I fucking love it. I fucking love it. And that's why I did cursing on my show, just for shit like that.
I asked before we started.
All right, go for it. Listen, I started this 9 years ago as a really shitty written blog, and I can't write. But I wanted it to be truthful. I wanted it adult friendly. I didn't care if kids jumped in just for the views. I don't hold myself back. I never could. Ask this one. Going out in public with me is her biggest hate. I just don't know how to shut the fuck up. But
I don't know what that's like at all.
See? We're all alike. We're all alike.
Remember, I'm the guy who walked by you guys after the East Coast Haunters convention. I was like, hey, you guys get kicked out?
Yeah.
I was like, sorry, I gotta go. I'm on my way to Cancun.
But guys, I definitely want to thank you. This was a really special night for us. I've been wanting to talk to you guys for a long time now. Markoffs really blew me away. I'll be straight up with you. Not a lot of haunts have stuck to me like Markoffs has, and it's one that's top on our list for next year to get to. Like as soon as tickets go on sale, I'm there. We're trying for 50% new this year.
Yeah.
So, it gets tough, but I'm not missing Markoffs.
No.
It's just not happening.
We're staying up that way.
I know, dear. I know. Yeah.
We appreciate that. And a lot of people, once they've added it to their list once, it just has to be a yearly repeat.
It is. It's up there. And we have a couple like that, but we've missed here and there. No. But I'm not missing Markoffs.
No, it's...
When we open the Airbnb, we'll let you guys know.
I'm first
Yeah,
on the
For real.
list.
I'm telling you guys, you can charge whatever you want. It'd be right in that midway. If I could sit on my bed and watch that fire going and go get like one of those burgers, oh, dude, I'm dying happy.
You know those things are like those cows are from the farm.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Farm fresh, baby. Farm
Yeah.
fresh.
And the damn donuts.
the damn donuts.
Oh,
Yeah, we ate like kings.
so do we.
But guys, again, hold on because I want to tell you a couple things off air. But guys, this has been Halloween Haunts 365. We'll have all the links for Markoff's social media and their website in the description. Definitely check out their website. It's a beautiful haunt website. You got anything else?
Nope.
Well, this has been Halloween Haunts 365, where every day is haunt season. Goodbye.
Bye.